Much better?
That's great.
Okay, perfect.
Unbelievably, I hit the button and it did the same thing it did yesterday too, as in the internet. We're live. We're live
right now.
Well, we're live?
We're live right now.
Okay, great.
Let's hope you were sitting in place when we hit the global airwaves.
I hope so.
No,
welcome very much to
walking in on the fight. Walking in on a fight. Down the aisle.
All right.
That's right.
Went from dark to light. It was perfect.
Well, thanks very much for joining us on Knuckle Up, a new show that we just launched on Talking Fight. It's nice to see you, Scarlett. We were somewhat joking yesterday that the first question I'd ask for is whether or not you're related to Scarlett Delgado of the Blue Jays.
Do you know how many times people have asked me that?
Probably times.
No.
Probably the same
times.
Probably the same amount of
Really?
times I've been asked if I'm related to Bobby Orr. my last name is Orr, so I get it all the time.
So you understand what I feel then?
Yes, definitely.
Okay, great.
Definitely.
Awesome.
No, I'm not related to the baseball player.
Right on. Big Ray
says
hello.
Sorry?
But you are a
Big Ray says hello. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Mike.
No, go ahead. Say it. Say it, Graham.
No. I was just saying Big Ray says hello.
Tell him I say hi. Give him a big old hug for me.
Yeah, I'd be wrapped around his waist, basically, like.
Yeah. In my position,
huge.
I always wrapped around like, he literally towers over everybody.
Yeah. Super nice guy. Roger says hello as well. Roger Golden,
tell him
big
I
shout
say
out to
hi
Roger.
too.
So with that out of the way, as I said earlier, welcome to the show. It's called Knuckle Up, hosted by Mike Orr. I'll leave him in your good hands.
Let's see how this goes.
Yeah, let's see how this goes. So first question, really, why boxing? What made you get into it?
I have this misconception with a lot of people because my father, Scarlett Delgado, he's a very decorated boxing coach within Canada. He's been to multiple nationals. He's ranked one of the highest in Canada, and he's been doing it for over 30 years. So people naturally think that, oh, daddy, daughter, like she went in because of him. Don't get me wrong, I'm not going to discredit him. Of course, growing up in a boxing gym, running around when you're 2 years old, watching people punch each other in the face definitely does have an influence. But he didn't want me to box. He did not want to see his baby girl in the ring with a sport that's so tough. And I was his little princess. The last thing a father wants to see is somebody punch their princess in the face, even if I'm good or not. But of course, like perseverance, I was training a lot in Olympic style wrestling, and I decided to go into some tournaments, and I found out that I was pretty good. I just wanted to prove to him that I can handle combat. And I was coming home with all these medals from the Olympic style wrestling. And he's like, oh my God, she likes it. So I said, listen, Dad, like if you don't want to train me, I'll go to another gym and let somebody else train me. And he didn't want that. So he's like, okay, fine. And then he caved when I was about 17, 18 years old. So it took me about 5 years to convince him.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow, that's awesome. Yeah. So any thoughts on going pro, or are you active still at this point, or?
With the pandemic, it's hard to say. No, I don't want to go professional boxing. I love it. I respect the woman in it. It's just not my style for me personally. I love the Olympic style boxing. I love it. I think it's beautiful. I think it's the real art of boxing. So I wanted to my father and I were getting ready to do one more cycle for nationals. And then the pandemic hit about 6 weeks right before. So, we're kind of in limbo right now. I'm trying to see what's going to happen once everything kind of opens up here in Ontario. So.
Right. Are you still training though, I guess? Not as much as you want to, but a little bit at the point, as much as you can do, with us
given the circumstances. And it's kind of scary sometimes because when you want to reach out to people and say like, hey, do you want to train? It's like, because of the pandemic, people are so divided now, and you don't want to trigger somebody like, oh, how could you suggest that? It's COVID or something. So everybody's pretty like scared to even suggest that to each other.
So do you have, like, since your dad's such a highly decorated trainer, like, I guess you spent so much time in the ring and in the gym as well, right? Do you train other women fighters?
I do now. That's something I didn't really want to do throughout my career. I didn't for a long time see myself as somebody that had that kind of expertise. I had so much respect for my father, thinking like what he does has taken years of craftsmanship to figure out how to do it and produce such amazing athletes. But at some point, my dad and my mom were telling me, like, no, you're good. Like, you know what you're doing. There's a reason why you're one of the top in Canada. Like, you know what you're doing. There's so many young women that look up to you. You should give them that gift. And I said, yeah, sometimes people just need a little push. So I started about a few months ago training women in just fitness. Battle Arts Academy is offering me a position to be their head boxing coach on their competitive team as well. So we'll see what happens once the pandemic opens and how that goes.
Oh wow, so that's some pretty good opportunities there. That's good. But yeah, I'd like to see you back in the ring. Actually, I've been watching a couple of your fights.
Oh, did you?
You really can get in there and throw down, man. You're not afraid. Definitely not afraid of getting hit. That's for sure.
Well, you grow up with like a Latino father. Like we're tough as Latin women. We're underrated. Like we're tough.
Who are some of your who are some of the like role models that you like? That you watched, women people that have like really inspired you in boxing. Any of the pros?
There's a couple for women, definitely Katie Taylor. I've been watching her since the 2012 London Games. I think
She's really good.
Amazing. Like her style and everything. If like now that you've seen some of my fights, you see I like throw a lot of combinations. I'm very like really fast in and out. I love her style. She definitely influenced me thinking like there's somebody who can go in, who can really think critically under a world-class stage pressure and still perform. She even looks better than a lot of guys that you see going in there.
I agree.
I'm not saying like, oh, a woman can go in there and compete with men, not that, but just her skill level, like she's really, really sharp. And I loved her growing up.
Yeah, definitely. No, I'm a big fan of her. I rate her on like, the top five, my top five favorite women. And
yeah, she's amazing.
she's a beast. She's a beast. And it's nice to see young fighters like yourself taking after her and trying to get in there and do the same thing.
Oh yeah. Even my teammate Mandy Boujol, the 2016 Olympian for 51 kilos. When I was growing up, like, because women's boxing still wasn't in the Olympics when I was just starting to compete. So she was
just started in 2012, I believe.
Yeah, 2012 was the first time. So Mandy, she was a pioneer. She was around because she's 51 kilos. I compete at 54 kilos. So like seeing her like a smaller girl like myself and seeing what she was doing, she was winning gold back to back. She's like undefeated pretty much in Canada. She's taking home like 11 national titles. She's doing all these amazing things. And she doesn't look like the stereotype female fighter back then. People have stigma that girls that fight, especially in boxing, are like steroids and broody, and they got these big noses because they've been broken so many times, missing teeth. But then you look at Mandy and Katie, like women like these, and they're beautiful girls and they have like a beautiful athletic body and they can go in there and they're tough and they're not afraid to look at fear in the eye and say, let's go.
Yes, definitely. That's true. So speaking about all the beauty, you model apparently.
I do not model.
I saw a modeling page with a bunch of pictures of you on it.
I did like a photo shoot of I do a couple photo shoots here and there, but nothing like I've never been paid. I'm not a model.
It was just something
that I do think so.
They were good pictures. Let's just say that.
Thank you.
They were good. Very, very well done.
Thank you.
So with the Olympic style, like you say that that's the style of boxing that you like. What are the differences in the Olympic versus going pro? Like I'm not too familiar with it all, really.
To be honest, I haven't done like too much research into the very specifics because it's just something I never thought of ever going into. But professional style, from what I see, it's a lot more power punching. It's a lot more like you want to build yourself up in the professional world. You're going for the knockout. You're going for like sitting down and really cranking those punches, and you're looking for that knockout. I find that the Olympics is more of a point system, but that's because everything is very fast. Everything is very agile. Everything is very in and out. It's flurries of punches. It's the angles. It's the agility and really the skill down to it. I guess like I always looked at professional as you really got to go in there, really be really like tough to just, and you know what I mean? I love it. And I applaud the women in there, like Katie Taylor, Kim Clavel from Quebec, Amanda Galley now from Ontario. You know, I think these women are doing phenomenal with that. Layla Ali, right? Back in her prime.
She's been inducted into the Hall of Fame, actually.
Yeah.
So
fantastic.
Yeah.
Like, you know, these women I definitely look up to, but that style, like, is just my personal preference. I don't prefer it. I just really love the fast in and out technical boxing. I think like it's beautiful. It's amazing. It's very like a chess game.
Right. Well, you're scoring points, right? It's more based on a points value. So yeah, I guess you do got to play more mentally. Yes. Graham, do you have any questions there, Graham?
Well, just hearing that, I was just curious whether it was your dad who said to you, if you're going to get into boxing, I would like you to learn the art of boxing as opposed to a very rough pugilistic aspect of it first and show you the finer technique, if you will. Was it his pushing you in that direction more or less that got you into Olympic style?
Not necessarily. My father, he trains all his fighters professional and Olympic style to the rule hit and don't get hit. So his style pretty much remains the same. He really focuses on the importance of protecting yourself at all time in the rings. Doesn't matter what the referee says, doesn't matter whatever, you always have to protect yourself. He kind of, I don't think that he foresaw what my path was going to lead me to. I don't think he thought originally that I was going to be able to handle the competitive side to boxing. I don't think he originally thought that I would make it to a national stage and really be up there, really banging it out with the top of the country. So I think when I was making a lot of my accomplishments, I think that it was just opening his eyes up wider. He mentioned a few times if I wanted to do something like that, but I made it pretty clear that I didn't because I had other sights for my career in the future. It was just something that I really wanted to take home a Canadian title, represent my country in any events that I possibly could with pride, and then gear out into a different career path. Like law enforcement was my original goal, but now I'm looking to professional wrestling for the future.
Wow. Interesting.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. I wanted to ask, is there what kind of competition, and is there a lot of women in competition in your weight class across Canada? Because I did notice that checking out your fight history, you did fight the same girl a few times. I think it was like four maybe times or 5 times out of the 11 fights I think you had.
There's I've had about 50 boxing bouts.
Okay.
50, and there's a few girls that them and myself have had over 3 fights because the pool is small here in Canada specifically.
Yeah.
Because you know, just the population in Canada is very small, and then when you reach a certain level, there's not a lot of competition amongst each other within this country. So oftentimes us female competitors from Canada will go to the States, like in Buffalo or Cleveland or Ohio. There's a lot of international tournaments that we try to participate in, like the Esker Cup in Ireland, or there's another one in Sweden that everybody's been going to. I think it's called the Golden Girl Cup or something like that. Don't quote me on that. Something. They have a big, huge European.
Too late.
Yeah. They have a big European tournament out there. It's huge in Europe for female boxing. It's been growing progressively for the past, I'd say, 10 years. It's been growing at an amazing great. I'm actually really impressed to see the competition that's out there now. But unfortunately in Canada, because our population is so small, you do tend to fight the same girl almost 5 times. I have 2 opponents that I've fought over 5 times.
Yeah, I was noticing that. It was like just like at the beginning of the record, I looked at the first 10 fights on there or something like that, and it was like you had to fight the same girl so many times, and that's got to be frustrating, right?
It's very frustrating.
Yeah. So you have to travel a lot when you're a female at certain weight classes, right? So
Yeah.
So well, at least it's nice to know that there's all these tournaments out there, really.
Yeah,
And,
they've been growing. Even the Brampton Cup, when I first went to the Brampton Cup, it was in like a little community center. Like in one kind of lobbying area, you had to squish in 2 rings. It wasn't a really big event, but the past Brampton Cup in February, it was huge. There's like 3, 4 rings. You have people coming from Ireland, you have people coming from Sweden, you have people coming from Britain, all coming in to participate in this Brampton Cup from the US. So you can see like the volume is starting to increase in amateur boxing, which is amazing. Like the young people getting into such a tough and really disciplined sport. It's awesome. And a lot of females are coming in.
that's wicked.
Yeah.
Wicked. Well, hey, more people for you to train and more people for you to fight, I guess, in the future.
Exactly. Right? Exactly.
That's wicked. Graham, anything?
Well, I was just going to say, so we're going to see you next with Trish Stratus. Is that what your career path?
Well, Trish Stratus,
that's who you're aspiring to next
anymore. Maybe with like Sasha Banks and Charlotte Flair one day, that'd be amazing. God, like you know what? That's the goal for every professional wrestler. So whatever happens. I was just honored to be given an opportunity to even make the improvements and have them watch me to see if they want to offer me a spot. I'm just happy with that.
That's very cool.
Yeah.
Very cool. It's exciting.
So, does that begin when COVID is over?
Hopefully. I went
to
a tryout. It was the first tryout held in Canada last summer. And there was about 50,000 applicants and then 50 were picked.
Wow. That's incredible.
And I just happened to be in the 50 that were picked. And I was the only non-pro wrestler there. Every single person there knew each other. They all knew like the coaches and the trainers and the people doing the testing. I was a complete alien to the whole scene. But I just, like everything, what boxing has taught me, I gave 100%, even if I didn't know how to do something. And they really liked me. And they told me, like, if you continue training at the Battle Arts Academy, where Santino Morelli, he opened up his gym. If you can continue training there, then we'll watch your progress. And then we'll see if we can offer you an opportunity in the future. So I was like, well, that's awesome. I have no problem with that. So I started going there and training.
So what kind of training does that take? Is it like intense?
Professional wrestling?
Yeah.
They do a lot of strength and conditioning, of course, just to, build the physique. And they do a lot of, I would consider it a lot of acrobats, like off the ropes, and it's very technical, actually. I never even knew prior to the tournament that there were schools for professional wrestling. And then seeing how they conduct the training is very interesting. It's very technical. It's not as easy as people might think it is. And a lot of the theatrics is not easy to even grasp right away either. You have to be really athletic. You have to be very sharp, and you have to be very quick to react, and you have to be very agile, very athletic. So it's a real sport, and there are real athletes out there. Like up at the WWE, a lot of people think like it's fake and it's scripted. Well, storyline, sure, but what they're doing in there is real.
Right.
Right.
It's very real.
Yeah. When you're jumping off ladders and stuff, that hurts.
I try to stay on them.
Yeah. Try not to go under them, the class.
All the superstition with ladders, I believe, don't walk up them. Don't jump off them. Everything.
Don't jump off them. It hurts.
So would you say the training is harder or easier than training for like a fight coming up?
Oh no, that's 2 completely different worlds. And I'm not going to try to disrespect either. Like, I'm not going to disrespect the professional wrestling, but there's nothing like going into the ring knowing that somebody's goal is to knock you out. That takes a lot of mental training. People think that, like, you see a lot of UFC fighters when they try to play catch up with strikes.
Right.
You can't. It's different when you're playing catch up with the ground game, not discrediting that. It's obviously just as equally hard, a former Olympic style wrestler myself. But to catch up with striking, that takes years of being psychologically comfortable with somebody throwing a punch in your face, being able to handle that with a certain level of confidence that you can handle it and that you can respond to it accordingly. That takes a lot of years.
Yes,
So
it took me a long time to stop blinking every time somebody punched me in the face.
Exactly. You see everybody that starts boxing, the first thing is
yeah, everybody's
all the time.
blinking like crazy.
A natural human reaction. You have to be a little off to go into these fights.
Definitely. So with the wrestling background and the boxing, and have you ever thought about jumping into the MMA world?
I did for a bit, because my dad actually trained me first in K1 style. I don't really know. I don't have an answer why we started gravitating towards the boxing, because we did start with the K1 kickboxing, but we did. So I've been pretty well trained in kickboxing, boxing, wrestling. The jujitsu comes a little bit more easy or easier because of my wrestling background.
Right.
So it was something that I thought about a few times, but at the time that I was thinking about it, it was a very small pool. And my dad said to me, he's like, Scarlett, you're so beautiful. You could probably kill it, but you could probably be a champion, but there's not a lot of money in it. And it's very taxing on your body. And I said, that's true. So I kind of just thought about it logistically. And he thought, like, look at the career goals that you do want to do, like become a police officer, specialize in the sex crime unit. He's like, you have a lot of aspirations for high level stuff. And he's like, so if you do something like this, he's like, you have to dedicate yourself 100% to that. So I thought, okay, well, I love my boxing, so I'm just going to stick to that and just see where the wind carries me. And it so happened to carry me to a WWE tryout.
There you go.
Right?
Ladders in your future for sure, eh?
Pardon?
Lots of ladders in your future.
Apparently. Apparently.
That's awesome.
Climbing the ladder to the top.
Exactly. Exactly. Even figuratively. Slowly but surely.
Graham, you have any more questions for our guest?
No, I don't. And thanks very much for joining us, Scarlett. We really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, honestly, yeah. We'd love to have you on again.
Absolutely.
That's a definite. And you know what? Good luck with that WWE tryout.
Thank you.
Maybe one day I'll get to see you flying off the ladder in the ring.
Oh, you will.
The E does stand for entertainment, so make it entertaining.
That's true.
Oh yeah. You're like, hey, we did an interview with her X amount of months ago.
That's right. She's doing a triple backflip off a ladder. Yes.
Oh.
with a twist and a gainer or whatever they call it in diving.
Maybe I'll finish off with a frog splash. That'll be my closing for my championship.
Right on. Well, Mike, you want to end us off with that classic triple
yes,
jab?
Definitely, man. To our viewers out there, if you like what you saw, man, don't forget to jab that like and subscribe and knock out some more comments. Come on, guys. Knuckle up, remember.
Knuckle up. Thanks. Let's get a pose going on. Knuckle up.
Knuckle up, man. Knuckle up.
There we go. Thanks very much.
Thanks,
Mike. Thanks, Scarlett.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Have a good time.
Bye.